Hello everyone and welcome to SkShadow. Today we are playing F1 2020 again, and this time it is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So, carrying on from last episode where we finished 14th, so the first time out of points, and our teammate finished 19th. That leaves us 6th in the driver standings, so a fair way away from Albon, which is to be expected, and the battle for, well, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, quite tight, because obviously Vettel's on 13, Stroll 14, Gasly 15, me 16, so it's pretty tight there. Obviously our teammate hasn't got any points yet, but he will do. I'm confident, hopefully, if we keep him on for the second half of the season anyway. We have some money, so we can get some driver perks. We have 2.4 million, so I think I'm going to go for an interview thing, and then possibly engine wear as well, because the engine wear is pretty important in this game, especially now we're going into Baku, because you get the long straights, so engine wear is pretty high there. We've got 475 points, which isn't enough to buy any upgrades at the moment, but we do have an aerodynamic and a durability upgrade coming before the race. However, we do need to organise some activities because we've got a little while before the race is, so we could probably do them all, to be honest. Okay, we could do them all apart from the aero department focus, but we've got aero team building anyway, so that is fine. Okay, so I've skipped forward a little bit and we got our weekly resources. So we've got 635 resource points, which means that we can do an upgrade. So we can do either one of the aeros. I would say, especially in this race, front downforce is going to be quite important, and that is going to come hopefully the day before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, although it does have a 40% failure chance, so it might not actually happen, but we'll have to wait and see. So we've skipped ahead to the race. We now have 540 resource points. However, the aero upgrade did actually fail, so we're going to have to restart that. It's only going to cost us 287, but that's not going to come until after the Canadian Grand Prix, so not great. But we are going to then go into the race weekend. So we're on to the race weekend now, and looking at the weather forecast, it is going to be dry throughout, so we don't have to worry about any rain, which is always good. And on top of that, we've also got a power unit upgrade from Mercedes, our engine supplier, so that then means that would be one of these ones, so I would turbocharge the valve timing. That puts us sort of bottom half on the engine rankings, so all in all, we have been overtaken by Haas, and AlphaTauri have managed to rise a fair bit ahead. So at the moment, we're pretty much on par with Haas and Alfa Romeo, definitely above Williams, but we've pretty much dropped below AlphaTauri. Okay, so I've done the practice, and it's going to be qualifying next, but the ICE definitely needs to be moved on to number 2. So we're into qualifying. General observations from practice are that it's okay. It's a little bit twitchy going out of slow corners, but it's always going to be because of the chassis. But we'll go into the first lap and see what we can do. So we're crossing the line to begin our first timed lap in qualifying. As you can probably see, I've turned the racing line off, so I'm not sure how well this qualifying is going to go. So we crossed the line with a 140.6. How good that is, I'm not sure, but it does put us ahead of Ricciardo and Kvyat for now, which is pretty good. So we're back to the garage now, and it has put us 5th and over a second ahead of Ilott. I did put the difficulty down because I thought that we were going to be a bit slower with the racing line off, but it seems that is not the case. So the difficulty is on 100 at the moment, so going into Q2, I guess I'll put it to maybe 103 and see what happens. But we'll skip forward. I don't think I'm going to be needing to do another run, to be honest, to be able to get into Q2, because I'd say that time is more than quick enough. So at the end of Q2, we are 10th, so we are above pretty much everyone, other than the McLarens, Ferraris, and obviously the general fast ones. But our teammate ended up managing to do a 41.3. So yeah, I'm definitely going to up the difficulty a little bit going into Q2. So we're into Q2 now. I have put the difficulty up to 103 from 100. So that should hopefully make it a little bit more realistic, but we'll go into our first run of Q2. So we crossed the line to start our first lap. Nicely into the first corner. Now we go to the second corner, which I always tend to brake a little bit early for, because you can't afford to miss that corner, as you just end up in the small runoff area, which is no good to anyone. A little bit of a lock up there. And going on to pit straight now, opening up the DRS, revving out 8th gear, so yeah, it's definitely going to be taxing on the ICE. And we crossed the line with a 141.3. So yeah, we can definitely go a lot quicker, because we did in Q1. So our 141.3 puts us 12th. We can definitely go a lot quicker because we did in Q1. So gonna whack a new set of softs on and then go out for our second run. So our second run puts us at P16 because we got a 140.6, which is similar to what we got in Q1. So that is probably more like where we should be. I.e., we probably shouldn't have actually got into Q2 in the first place, but we will now go into the race and see if we can keep the P16. So tyre strategy wise, everyone in the top 10 is starting on softs, because obviously they must have used those in Q2. A huge amount of the rest of the field are starting on hards. However, we are going for a medium hard strategy, and our teammate is the only one not in the top 10 that's going to be starting on softs. So it's going to be interesting to see how these strategies play out. And it's lights out and away we go. Get a decent start. Not too much wheel spin, but Ilot gets an amazing start. He is on softs, so it's to be expected. We just about managed to make it through the pack. Getting squeezed a bit by Kvyat. So we get 15th currently with Grosjean behind us. Gonna squeeze him out. There we go. So crossing the line in lap 1, we are still 15th. Kvyat is generally pulling away a bit quicker than us. Grosjean is managing to keep up with us quite well. Raikkonen just had a little bit of a fluff up there. Yeah, Grosjean is definitely trying to come at us. Yeah, we're just sort of in this train at the moment of Raikkonen, the car ahead of him, Kvyat, Grosjean, us, and then Ilot behind. So Grosjean seems to be really quick. When we looked in the performance charts, the engine of the Haas is very, very quick. So he is going to easily overtake us in a second. We've got Ilot coming at us as well at the moment, which is never great, but DRS is now enabled, so we should hopefully get some of that either now or at the end of the lap. No, we've got it now for Grosjean. We now have our teammate behind us for company. He is on softs, so at the moment he is actually going to be faster than us. So I need to be careful we're not trying to fight him too hard. Little bit of a lock up there. Pretty much at the moment, the difficulty is going to be keeping up with Grosjean with his much faster engine. Yeah, as soon as we fall out of the DRS range of Grosjean, then our teammate is definitely going to be able to try and come at us. And we'll probably find ourselves just quite quickly falling away, using all the overtake we can on these long straights to try and keep up with Grosjean. Seems like there were no lap 1 incidents, as nobody's had to dive into the pits, which is definitely rare on Baku street circuit as it is. Yeah, even with DRS, as you can see in the timing on the top left, we are still falling away from Grosjean. If our teammate does pass us, then we just have to hope that our strategy of being on the mediums instead of the softs pays off, and we can retake him when we have to go into the pits. Ooh, a little bit of contact there in the front. Don't know whether there's any damage. We don't have a huge amount of overtake left to be able to try and keep up with the guys ahead now, so this certainly isn't going to be easy. Neither of them dived into the pits, so I think damage-wise they're fine. Grosjean has managed to get past Kvyat, so we might be able to get past Kvyat ourselves. Locking up into that corner as usual. Obviously we've still got ILOC for company behind us, so we're having to make sure to try and defend from him at the same time. I think in the setup we perhaps set the brake pressure a little bit too high because we are locking up quite a lot. Our teammate is not managing to catch up with us, which is good. I imagine that on lap 5, looking at the state of our mediums, his softs are probably starting to fall away. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not long until he pits. Obviously we've already had a couple go into the pits by the looks of it. We have a problem with the rear wing again. It is stuck open. They said I need to pit in for repairs, but I'm not going to because I did that last time and it turned out I didn't even need to by the looks of it. So I'm not going to pit in unless it tells me specifically that I need to pit, because the last thing I want to do is have to turn this into a 2-stop. I do think if I pit this lap, it's probably going to ruin ILOC's strategy, because I imagine he's probably due to be pitting this lap. And the AI don't seem to take into account when you pit before them, so they still come in anyway. We've been given a new strategy option by Jeff of coming in on lap 11 by the looks of it, instead of 12. I'm guessing our tyre wear is a little bit higher than expected, so we're going to do that. They still haven't asked me to come into the pits to fix this rear wing, so we'll just go into the pits when we need to. I wouldn't say having the DRS stuck open is too much of a bad thing. It just means we are faster down the straights, which is exactly what we need to be anyway. There is a yellow flag, VSC. Vettel is out the session, Sainz is out the session. What happened here then? So let's watch a replay of what happened. So the Racing Point smacked into the barrier, and then followed the Ferrari and the McLaren, who both smashed into each other, and then the Red Bull, I don't know whether he ended up out, but yeah, it's a pretty nasty crash. And we are coming up to it now. And we passed in now. That has somehow managed to put us into P3. Interesting turn of events. There are now 18 out of 22 runners in this race. We have Perez ahead of us, who is 11 and a bit seconds ahead. I can't imagine that we're going to be able to get anywhere near him. And we have Leclerc behind, who's just under 2 seconds behind. I don't think it'll be long until he is right on our gearbox, to be honest. We are leading our teammate by 30.2 seconds, so when we come into the pits we'll definitely be ahead of him. I'm certainly starting to feel the tyre wear on this thing. It is quite difficult to handle now, especially with the DRS being stuck open. We are on 44% on both
battery charge is high.
The rears, so I think it might be time to dive into the pits, to be honest. I know it'll be 2 laps early, but pretty much everyone else has dived into the pits now, so we haven't exactly got anything to lose. Having to be very careful on the throttle around here, otherwise I'm going to lose it. Just let Leclerc pass, we're not really fighting him at the moment. And then just dive straight into the pits. And they do the stop in 2.3 seconds. I don't know if they have fixed the rear wing yet, doesn't look like it. So we still got to deal with the fact that our DRS is stuck open. So after the lap after our pit stop, we are now 11th. We have Ocon ahead, 1.6 seconds, and Giovinazzi behind, 1.6 seconds. Our teammate seems to be quite far behind.
Gap to teammate behind is 14.3 seconds. They're on fresh hards. They're in 18th. The time last lap was at 1 minute 46.1.
Our teammate is 14.3 seconds behind, and he's in 18th, so he's last, effectively, at the moment, which is not great. I will say these hards are really not a very nice race tyre. They don't have a huge amount of grip. We do seem to be pulling away from Giovinazzi though, so that is always good. I'm having to really back off a bit through that section behind us though, because with the with the rear wing wide open, there is no downforce through there, and if basically we can't go through there full throttle, otherwise the car will spin, and that'll be game over for us. Yeah, so we seem to be increasing our gap on Giovinazzi, but Ocon is pulling away, so assuming nothing more drastic happens, this is probably going to be where we stay. So scrap that. I've just asked Jeff, and it turns out that these tyres on Ocon and Giovinazzi are the ones they started on, so they're actually going to be pitting. So we might end up a lot higher than we thought we would. Also, they have now fixed the rear wing. So going through that S section back then was a lot nicer, I can tell you that. And we're actually able to go through it full throttle without any issues. However, now that we don't have a rear wing stuck open, Giovinazzi is actually catching up with us. So obviously the wing being open gave us a fair amount of speed, and Giovinazzi has the Ferrari engine, which seems to be so quick now, which is a bit odd considering they were like the slowest at the beginning of this season. However, Giovinazzi has just been overtaken by Ricciardo, who's just about to overtake us. He's on medium, so there really wasn't much we were going to be able to do about that. So it seems like almost everyone around us is due to stop again, so that definitely helps us, as we do not need to stop again. However, we do have Verstappen in P12, and I imagine he probably doesn't need to stop again, although he is on mediums, so I'm not too sure. But we'll find out soon enough, because the other guys are going to go into the pits, and Verstappen will probably overtake us anyway. Using all the overtake we can, but it is no match for Giovinazzi's sheer engine power, and the fact he's got DRS on us as well. And he makes the overtake look incredibly easy. We try to outbrake him, but it doesn't quite work, and now we have both the Red Bulls behind us. However, with overtake and DRS, it looks like that's going to be just enough to be able to get back past Giovinazzi and retake P9. If you like the content so far, make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more of it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you know when we upload, just as Giovinazzi is about to overtake us again. We've also got Verstappen alongside us now, so I imagine we're going to get overtaken by Verstappen into this DRS zone now. Okay, so Verstappen does actually have to stop again, so I'm not sure who actually doesn't need to stop again. We might end up a lot higher than we were expecting at this rate if everyone needs to stop again. Magnussen has pitted, and so has Verstappen, which puts us P8 currently. We've got Albon behind. Giovinazzi is still ahead. Right, so Albon is on old hards, which means that he is not going to be pitting again. So we are actually in a fight with Albon at the moment. To be honest, just to not lose too much time, I'll probably let him by, not put up too much of a fight. Don't want to be losing too much time fighting someone that is inevitably going to be overtaking us anyway. Move over to the side so Albon can attempt to overtake us. There we go, off he goes. Let off the overtake a bit now. Looks like Giovinazzi is finally going into the pits. Seems like Gasly is as well, so they've all gone into the pits now. Means we now have Ocon for company behind us. Going on to the pit straight now. Ocon is very much behind us, and he gets the overtake done on us before even going into the DRS zone. So that shows how much quicker those mediums are than our rather old hards.
Okay, keep.
So as I was braking into this corner, you'll see in a second that we get shunted by one of the Haas cars, which then sends us into the wall, which means we are definitely going to be needing to pit. So we're going into the pits to get a set of softs now. Seems like Kvyat has been given a 5-second time penalty for some reason. I'm guessing he must have hit the Haas, and for some reason he got given a penalty for it. The softs are a much nicer race tyre, I can tell you that. So we're not rock bottom because Kvyat had to go into the pits as well, and obviously he had to serve his 5-second time penalty. For some reason he's gone on to mediums instead of softs, guessing he didn't have a new set of softs left. I will say that's very annoying, as we were definitely onto a points finish there until our race was effectively ruined by Magnussen. But we are going to get the overtake done on Russell. And he was on old hards, and it looked like they were definitely starting to show their signs of wear. Our teammate is 16.8 seconds ahead, and the next car ahead is just under 14 seconds ahead. So I can't imagine we're going to be getting anywhere near to them before the end of the race.
Some information on Ocon. They've got a serious car issue.
Ocon is now out of the session.
Okay,
It was just a mechanical failure though, so not another crash. There he is. Looks like Gasly's going into the pits for some reason, and he's ended up behind us, so we are now 13th out of 16th, which isn't too bad. So we are increasing the gap on Russell and Gasly now. It's 4.7 seconds. We are actually catching up with Latifi and Giovinazzi, but we've only got 3 more laps. Unless we bolt a rocket booster onto this car, I don't think we're going to be getting anywhere near them. So Gasly behind us did just put in a fastest lap, but that has just been taken by Bottas. But yeah, as you can see, the gap to Gasly is now 2.6 seconds, so he is very, very quick at the moment. So we're just about across the line to start our last lap now. Gasly is about 2.1 seconds behind.
Final lap of the race.
So I put Rich on, I'm going to use that for most of the lap, and then hopefully we can keep Gasly behind us. That's the idea. Bottas has just won, so Gasly is going to definitely be within DRS range when we get down to the main straight. So it's going to be a bit of a race to the line, I think, but looking at it with overtake as well, I think we're going to be just about fine. And we crossed the line in 13th. So the final result of that race, Bottas won it with Perez and Hamilton also on the podium. Our teammate Ilott actually came 10th, which means he gets his first points, which is fantastic. We ended up 13th after that crash, and then obviously we had all of these DNFs, so Stroll, Sainz, Vettel, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Ocon. They were all out. So the driver standings, that ends up having Bottas and Hamilton tied currently, and we have moved down to 7th. Our teammate has moved to 17th, because obviously now he has 1 point, and our team overall has moved down to 7th as well, with 17 points below Renault. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic action. Check links in the description. And other than that, that's it from me. Good night.